Much everybody for being here. I am your host, Chris Duffy, and this is Wrong Answers Only. This show is produced by LabX, a public engagement program at the National Academy of Sciences. And for those of you who have not been to one of our shows before, if you haven't seen Wrong Answers Only, the National Academy of Sciences is a private, nonprofit institution that gives the government objective, evidence-based advice. LabX is the team at the National Academy of Sciences that takes that fancy science and they make it fun. They create video games, shows, board games, and video series to make it digestible. And today on this show, you and our panel of comedians are going to learn all about rituals, holidays, and human culture. We're also going to find out what our guest scientist is like when she is not doing her research. And look, I want to point out, this is an interactive show. We want you to be involved. We want to hear your jokes. We want to hear your questions. We want you to play these games right along with us. So comment as you're watching. We will do our best to address as many questions and comments as we can. If you can't see the place to comment, maybe try getting out of full screen. Sometimes that will let you show it. It should be right below here. And if the comments aren't working for you, no problem either way. But there will be comments and polls and you can play along with us. So let's get into today's show. Today, we have an incredible panel of comedians who are going to be playing. We've got Michael Cruz Kayne, Joanna Hausman, and Rob Hayes. Hello. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
and now we're going to find out who today's expert is. And rather than me telling you all about her and singing her praises, instead, let's have her tell you about herself. Here's a video.
There's often lots of conflict surrounding any potential modifications of rituals over the holidays, right? Where you maybe get married and now you've got, your spouse's family and they have their own traditions and they want to open presents a day early, or they want to do like minor stuff. These are like really minor details. And people are like, oh no, we can't open our presents early. We can't have a ham. We got to have a turkey. Well, all of these things have meaning to people, even if the meaning is just that this is something we can count on. It symbolizes our family. We've always done it this way. My name is Cristine Legare. I'm a professor of psychology and the director of the Center for Applied Cognitive Science at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm a cognitive scientist. I study how the human mind enables us to learn, create, and transmit culture.
Cristine, thank you so much for being here and letting us talk to you about your work.
Thank you for having me.
And an especially big thank you because you are actually not in the United States right now. You're in Marrakesh, Morocco. It is the middle of the night, and yet you are still on this show. So thank you. That's really incredible.
My pleasure.
So panelists, you're going to get a chance to ask Cristine all sorts of questions over the course of this show, but we're already deep into the holiday season, and this is your first chance to ask a cognitive scientist who studies what is going on all around us right now some questions. So we call this, You Do What? And what is the first thing that you want to know? Michael, what's the first thing that you want to ask Cristine right off the bat, now that you know a little bit about what she studies?
Oh my God. Fuck. Okay. I have a question that's going to make me appear intelligent. And that question is like, what are rituals that you like?
Ooh, great question.
I love rituals associated with food, with different national traditions, regional traditions. I think you can immediately learn a lot about a community from the way they prepare food, how they share it, what they eat, that sort of thing.
Great answer. Joanna, what about you? What's the first question you want to ask Cristine?
Is it a coincidence that religion, like all religions, are full of rituals?
Absolutely not. Ritual is the really the kind of behavioral grammar of all human groups, and religions are large scale groups. Rituals are part of the reason that religions work, that people join religions, why people stay in religions. It's about community building. So it's not at all a coincidence that ritual and religion are very tightly linked.
Okay, and Rob Hayes, what's your first question?
Yeah, I wanted to know if rituals can like occur based on television programs, like the Freeform 25 Days of Christmas, or like the Lifetime Christmas movies, or watching It's a Wonderful Life or the Puppy Bowl, or
Sure.
The Rose Parade. I watch a lot of television stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, television is a way to disseminate information to the masses, and it's a great way to introduce new types of behavioral traditions. And it's also a great way to give people the impression that this is something meaningful and fun and pleasurable. So it's a great way to spread kind of mass contagion of any sort of behavior, including rituals.
We're getting some questions from the audience, so I just want to ask you a couple of those too. One question is, Cristine, when you tell people that you are someone who studies rituals for your job, do they often think that you are a witch or a wizard?
I think it's possible that it might have nothing to do with actually, the work I do on ritual. I don't know. Those may or may not be related. I
That's the
think
vibe that you're giving off.
Absolutely. And I do happen to study witchcraft. I study all the kinds of weird stuff that people believe in. Witchcraft would be one of them. Ritual would be another. Religion would be another. There's a whole gamut of unusual things that humans believe in. And yeah, I have studied witchcraft in the past. But ritual I think the term ritual, people think of that as associated with religious ceremonies or these kind of esoteric practices. But ritual is part of all of our everyday behavior. It's so common, we don't often, even notice that we're engaged in it.
Wait,
Well,
wait.
actually,
You
oh,
go.
please go.
Well, that just brought up a question for me, but is my time for questions over now?
No, please. There's the whole show is your time for questions.
Okay, wonderful. My question is, how I feel like I know this in my gut, but not I can't articulate it. How does a ritual differ from a habit? Like what makes a ritual a ritual?
That is a beautiful question. The core difference is that rituals don't belong to individuals. So, for example, if you brush your teeth before you eat breakfast, well, one, you're insane. That's a ridiculous thing to do. But if you did that, you could change that to doing something more reasonable, which is brushing your teeth after breakfast, and no one would give a darn. Like, that would be totally fine. That is on you. That is your habit, and you can do what you want to do. Rituals are owned by a collective. They're owned by a group. And that makes changing them on an individual level really difficult to do. And not that it can't be done, and we could talk about later how one would do that, but yeah, they belong to groups and not individuals.
Thank you
Does
so
that
much.
change then? Like, could something be a habit for some people and a ritual for others? Because like I can imagine that if you get together at like the dentist conference, all of a sudden they're like, oh, teeth brushing is not a habit. That is a ritual now with all of us.
Well, if you get a group of people to take on your personal habit, then sure, you could ritualize it. And I'm sure that's where a lot of rituals come from. And there's overlap between the rituals that are common in a population and the habits that are common in a population too, right? These are not mutually exclusive. They're just, again, it's how widely disseminated they are, and also whether they have meaning associated with them or not.
Well, so Cristine, one of the things that you said to me during the pre-interview we did before I wrote the script for the show, and this thing really stuck with me, is you said that all humans across all cultures have some access to imaginary stories. And then you said, and I'm quoting here, the capacity to believe in pretend things is universal, but the content varies widely. So yeah, whether we're talking about elves or Santa or the Chupacabra, everyone has something. And panelists, I thought that we get deeper into this by hearing a little bit from you. What is a made up thing that you used to full-heartedly believe in? It's real to me. So what is something, and please, if you're in the audience, we would love to hear what are some things that were real to you that you used to full-heartedly believe in. Who wants to go first? Joanna, you have one? It looks like
Sure.
you have there.
I had another one, and then we started talking about witches. And I remembered that La Llorona, which is this Latin American folktale about a woman who was deceived by her husband. So then she like drowned her children and then died. And basically she became a witch ghost that like haunts and eats children in the forest all over Latin America. I was convinced she was real. And every time I would hear the wind, I would think it was her. And all Latin American children think that this woman exists, and then you find out that your parents made her up, or like I guess they didn't make her up, but like there's a ritual of telling your children that she's real so that you don't like leave the house at night and be eaten by this woman. It's a way to keep your children at home.
Don't be
What-
alarmed, but right when you were talking about this witch ghost, Michael's doors started opening and closing in the background. So I'm just saying,
No,
I don't know.
please. I'm not totally convinced she's not real.
I was just about to say, you don't sound convinced to me that she is not real. And that witch ghost might have been delivering soup to Michael. We do know that he has a soup
That
delivery.
is my
coming during the
daughter
show.
telling me that soup has arrived.
Yes, the Llorona brought the soup to Michael's door.
La Llorona now works for Uber Eats. She's diversified, you know? She's
Trying very
diversified.
hard out there.
Yeah.
You can't just be eating children and make it in a capitalist society, you know?
No.
Okay, that's fascinating. Rob or Michael, you have one?
I got one. For the longest, I did believe if you reach the end of a rainbow, there would be a pot of gold. But
Mhm.
doing the road a lot, I feel like I've seen some rainbow ends. I feel like I've driven past some rainbows at their ends. I didn't see any pots of gold, so I didn't pull over. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that's what's at the end of the rainbow.
What was at the end of the rainbow that you saw, Rob?
Just like mist.
Okay.
That's where La
Mhm.
Llorona hangs out, by the way, in the mist
In
at
the
the end of the
mist.
rainbow, trying to
It's a
lure you
crossover.
in. Yeah.
A mythical creature crossover. There you go.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
Michael,
Some
what about you?
dude.
What's something you used to believe in?
I mean, I'm not sure if this is the right way to answer this question, but my thing is like kind of the opposite, where for most of my life, I believed I was like sort of cockily atheist, and believe like they're beyond like what I can absolutely literally see and imagine, and not even imagine, like logic out for myself. That's all that can exist. And I am, as I get older, being like, you know, maybe that fucking bird is my dead grandfather. Like that kind of stuff is creeping in. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I'm
Mhm.
going the wrong way, but that's what's happening to me.
Yeah, I love that. It's great to go both ways on this. So, okay, Cristine, we're right in your wheelhouse. What are your reactions to hearing these three?
Okay, a couple of reactions. One is that these have illustrated how the content of imaginary stories or rituals or these different sorts of cultural systems, the contents vary a lot, but the recurring themes are universal. So I do a lot of research in northern India, and one of the widely held superstitions in that region involves something called a Jaloi bird. And this Jaloi bird is believed, which may be an owl, maybe a bat. I don't know. No one knows what this is. It's a supernatural bird, and they fly around at night, which is probably why it's a bat. But anyway, the belief is that pregnant women need to stay away from this bird, because if they come across this bird, they could miscarry. All kinds of terrible things might happen to their unborn baby. And I guess maybe a functional basis for this is that leaving the house, you're more vulnerable when you're pregnant. Bad things might befall you in the night, and you should just stay home under the guise of the specter of the Jaloi bird. So anyway, there's a kind of a thread of alleviating anxiety, avoiding risk. That's a big part of ritual everywhere.
And do they always, are there any like other kind of universal trends of these kinds of things that people believe in? Like, is it often animals or kind of like creatures that could hurt you? Or, obviously like a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow kind of feels like it's off to the side of these other ones, different from the rest.
I think these imaginary stories, they always serve kind of core psychological functions, whether it's, you mentioned the pot of gold, the end of the rainbow, these, aspirations for luck, avoiding danger, seeking out some sort of happy ending or comfort, that sort of thing. There's usually avoiding danger or sort of a happy ending. That's a recurrent theme in a lot of these superstitious stories.
I'm also just want to give a quick update. If you're in the audience, we are aware that you're having some technical issues with the Q&A and polls. You can still watch. That's great. We love it. Still participate. It's totally fine. We're aware that you can't. The Q&A is down. That's totally fine. We're just going to keep on going. Cristine, one question that I have is like some of the things that I used to believe, which I think are pretty common in North America, are are really strange when you think about them. Really, the tooth fairy, like a lady that comes in and steals your teeth when they fall out and trades money for them. That seems like a kind of bizarre one. Is that the kind of stuff you look at? Or are you mostly looking at cultures that are different from the one that you grew up in?
I mean, I study these sorts of beliefs everywhere, and things only are strange if you're not familiar with them. There's absolute, I mean, the more I think closely you look at traditions that are familiar to you and thus seem normal, you look at them from another lens, and the normal becomes pretty bizarre indeed. And holiday rituals are full of truly bizarre things, like hanging socks in front of the fireplace and a obese man who's, you know, being hauled around by flying deer.
A lot of Christmas traditions seem like they carry a lot of fire risk. Like bringing a tree indoors, hanging socks in front of a fireplace, a man comes down the chimney. A lot of really risky fire decisions.
But what's wild is that all of this stuff is wildly unrealistic, like wildly unrealistic. And yet parents put great effort into attempting to provide evidence for this stuff to their children. For example, cookies for Santa. I mean, my father would take bites of the cookie, leave little crumbs, even would put the carrot for the reindeer partially down the garbage disposal. So it looks even like carrots. So, you know, you gotta make it look like the reindeer ate it without him actually having, you know, to eat it. We put a lot of effort into convincing children that these wildly implausible things are true, which I think is kind of, how is that not fascinating?
It's so funny that's what will convince the kids. It's like, I know it's hard to believe that this man lives in the North Pole and has elves, but he ate the cookies. So like
totally. Right. The milk glass is gone, or at least, you know, 2/3 of it are gone.
Wait, Santa's not real?
Oh no!
Oh no!
No, I don't think that's what. I don't think that's not it, Rob.
What y'all are trying to say?
What we're finding out is Christine's dad is Santa.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
That's right. I just never cared for carrots.
I do feel like we perhaps should have put a disclaimer on the front of this show that said, like, if you're watching with your young children, please, we are going to say some things that will deeply disturb them. But you know what a great story for them if this is how they learn. Them and Rob.
Yeah.
Michael, you have two kids who I assume are now past the age of Santa, or are they still in it?
They are past the age of Santa. It's over for them.
What's the age of Santa?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what. I mean, my son is older. He's 13 now, which I know is weird because I'm incredibly young. But
24.
Yeah, 24, maybe younger. I'm not actually even sure. But I know that he found out at a later age than my daughter did. But there was, like, I'm sure a lot of parents go through this, where my son's calling bullshit on Santa before we admit it to him. I think, honestly, if it had been up to me the whole time, I'd be like, nah, dude, doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't make any fucking sense. We don't have a chimney, bro. There's no way. And so he's like, you know, this doesn't really check out. And it was, I think, more important to my wife that we'd be like, no, it's fucking real. The fucking guy, he slips into the keyhole, kid. But it always struck me as like training wheels for religion. But I'm not exactly sure why we do this. But it does seem like fun in a way, but also kind of insidious. Anyway.
Can I put my Cristine hat on? Because as we're talking about this whole thing, I remembered that one of the biggest fights I had with my friends in school back home in Venezuela was that I thought Santa was real and they thought El Niño Jesus was real, which is that instead of it being Santa, a fat man in the North Pole, it's little baby Jesus. So it's a baby that comes to bring you the presents. And we would fight over whether it's the big man or the baby. And it would be like, I'd cry. It'd be like, how dare you? It's the man. It doesn't make any sense that it would be the baby, you idiot. And plus I'm Jewish. So I'm like, how dare you make it? And it's like Santa, I know, is like Christian, but like my parents are like, yeah, but he's like Jewish too. It's like, fine.
Yeah.
But like baby Jesus, that's inherently That's like too religious. That was too religious.
I know that El Nino means the baby, but I also think of it as a hurricane. So I like that. Some people are like, it's Santa, and some people are like, no, it's Hurricane Jesus.
What did El Nino bring? A lot of rain.
It's actually not brought by a man at all. It's a meteorological condition that drops the presents into our home.
There we go. That makes more sense.
Honestly does.
I
Well-
like the baby because if he messes up, you're like, oh, you didn't get what you want. It's just a baby.
It's just a baby.
It's just a baby. He's doing the best he can, you know?
Well, Cristine, we were talking to you beforehand, and you said that one of the most interesting parts of being a parent is that for some people, they get to relive that make-believe world again.
Absolutely.
And, in fact, you, Cristine, you have a very young son yourself. And so I think before we talk more about that, I do think we are legally required to show some of the photos that you sent of your son dressed up as various animals. So let's start with this.
If you
Oh,
must.
thank God.
This one is
If you
him
must.
as a fox. This is him as a fox.
Oh my God.
And then here he is as a lion.
Stop it.
Oh,
Okay,
think-
there you go. Yeah,
I feel like I'm gonna cry. I don't know why. My eyes are like tearing because it's so cute.
there are so many more, and that is truly one of the most adorable babies I've ever seen in my life. So, Cristine, what do you think?
I agree. My objective scientific opinion is obviously correct. So I think we're done here.
Well, but you also you study rituals. You have a lot of critical thinking about them, but then you have a son. So now, do you feel the emotional tug towards doing the rituals, even ones where you're like, oh, I maybe intellectually I wasn't on board with this before you had a kid?
That little picture of him in the fox costume, which was my idea, obviously, and the pumpkin, that is a fairy house pumpkin. Fairies live in that pumpkin. And I know that because I carved that pumpkin and installed that fairy door in that pumpkin. So I think that pretty much answers your question. Rituals are part of the things we remember. They bond keep our families close. They bond our communities. I think that a lot of these sort of supernatural or spiritual or religious or magical aspects to them add greater memorability. And I don't think they're insidious. I think they're fun, usually.
Okay, I would like to think of it that way. I'm open to that.
Well, when you think about then, when you're crafting these rituals and traditions and holidays for your own family, what are the things that you put into place for yourself as someone who's studied this and knows deeply what makes them work and what makes them stick?
So I think about the capacity for participation. So rituals that allow everyone to have a role, everyone to do something together. Synchrony often is a really important part of a very powerful kind of psychological force within rituals. So singing songs, the same songs every year together in a kind of communal way. All of those sorts of things make rituals really powerful. It's why the foods that we eat in the holidays are the same every year. We can't explain why we eat the same things every year, including things that are in some cases really not that good, and yet we feel compelled to to eat them anyway. So there's something about rituals that resist change, which can be in some cases stifling, but it can also create long-term unity and transmission and identity and shared identity and purpose over time. So they keep people together over time. They keep families together. So anything that kind of promotes that collaboration and communal participation is good for ritual building.
I think that to double back on my own insidiousness comment, I do think there are things about rituals that are really fucking cool. And with what you're talking about, things, the idea, I talked about this with Chris recently, but sitting Shiva, where it's I'm going to go and say this prayer, and this prayer that I say, somebody else said this prayer 2,000 years ago. I'm saying, I'm doing this thing that connects me through all of time back to people I'd never met. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is cool. And it's really functional, as it turns out. After you go through you have a tremendous loss, and you have a lot of grief to process. Having a dedicated time to mourn with your loved ones is psychologically really healthy for you.
Mhm.
And you think about a lot of, secular environments that have removed a lot of these rituals that have evolved over time because they have important functions, right? There's not a space for these important human needs like mourning loved ones and loss. So they do have lots of important critical functions that we need as a society.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's
I have a question. I'm
Please.
so sorry. I'm
Go.
like so interested right this. Is like I'm like fascinated. So many of these rituals, as you said, are like they function as therapy, or they function as keeping you safe, or they function as kosher is basically avoiding foods that can make you sick. And so is it like storytelling things, simplifying things for survival? Like it's good for you to do these things, but we're going to make it fun. We're going to make it we're going to give it a story. We're going to give it a tradition. So we take away the the intellectualness behind it, and we just make it tradition.
Yeah. I mean, humans are motivated by things like narrative, and rituals are full of narratives. They are motivated by doing things that other people do. They are motivated by things that have meaning, and especially shared meaning. So it's not a coincidence that we have all of these practices. And we in fact, as a group, we can't function together without a set of shared rituals. And you'll know this if you travel to another country and try to figure out how they interact together and how they eat together and where they put their shoes and all of these sorts of things. You often only notice that, oh, wow, every aspect of my life is ritualized. And somehow I didn't even notice, right?
Mhm.
That's how deeply psychologically embedded, culturally embedded ritual is.
It's interesting because I think one example of this is like when I've traveled to other places where, for example, like it's much more common to haggle over a price. It's funny because obviously you ask someone what the price is and they say a really high price. But if I don't know that I'm supposed to haggle and I just pay them that high price, you'd think they would be thrilled because they're getting a really high price. But often the person kind of has like a disappointed look on their face. Like,
Yeah, like what?
what? You're supposed to do the little thing. We're supposed to go back and forth. It's supposed to be fun. Why are you just paying me this much money? And then you realize like, oh, it's a whole exchange. We're supposed to have a back and forth.
That's not been my experience. I've been in Morocco for a week or so. People are very happy to
They're
take
thrilled.
my money.
Yeah, they're
Very
thrilled.
happy. Like, thank you for that. See you later. Enjoy your little camel.
Okay, I have a question for you that's a deeply personal one. This is like not asking for a friend. This is asking for me. I feel like I've tried in my marriage to create many rituals and traditions, and some have been very successful and others have been miserable failures, and I don't know why. And so I would love your advice. So an example of a small successful one is anytime my wife or I are going somewhere and the other one isn't traveling with us, like a trip, not just like for a couple hours, we like tap rings like Wonder Twin style, and we're like, tap, and then when we get back in the same place, we tap them again, like, okay, now we're back in. And it's like a really great little cute ritual. And if we didn't do it, I would feel like deeply unsettled that we didn't travel. So that's one that worked. But I've also been for years now trying to make December 12th, 12/12, a holiday called 1-2 Day, where we do everything twice. And absolutely zero buy-in. She hates that holiday. She hates that I say things twice. She hates that I drink from 2 glasses of water. It's like her least favorite day of the year. So one is, how can I make 1-2 Day happen? Because it's in 4 days and I need it to like go this year.
Good Lord.
And why is the other one successful?
1-2 Day is not going to happen. That, Chris, I'm sorry, that sucks. That does.
What? That sucks. It's a great 1-2.
The scientist said it. The scientist said it sucks, so it's real.
Why is it not February 2nd?
February 2nd, 2-2. There's no 1. It's 1-2, not 2-2. 2-2 is a ballet-based day.
Failure is that no one wants to be part of it other than you. That's why.
Yes, I'm
The
very
truth
aware.
hurts. The truth hurts.
The truth has hurt me
sorry
deeply.
to be the one to tell you straight, but yeah, it's got to be something that is, there's a balance of shared effort that is, like the three little bears or whatever, like not too little, not too much, just the right amount. I think this 2-2 thing all day long, I think it's a little bit on the like too much end.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. Cristine, I am such a fan of you. You are fantastic. And I also think I've never been more deeply burned by a scientist on this show.
Can I ask a question about, I really want to know
your wife will thank me though.
Yes.
How does one, what are the mechanics of the day? Like, does she get up and go to brush her teeth and then come back in the bedroom and you're like, gotta brush your teeth?
Thank you so much for asking, Michael. The mechanics are she wakes up, I'm already awake, I'm wearing 2 pairs of sunglasses, 2 shirts, and 2 hats.
Oh, she lives in hell.
So she wakes up, she thinks it's a regular day, and then I go, good morning, and she goes, this can't happen again. And then I take off 1 pair of glasses. There's another pair of glasses underneath it. And I drink from 1 cup and I have another cup and I go, and I drink from both at once and water pours down my 2 shirts. And that's almost always how the day starts.
Oh my God.
A mystery why this hasn't taken off.
Yeah, I can't see why it's not taken off.
Wow. Thinly veiled sarcasm. Thinly veiled sarcasm.
So no warning. So you just wait, like you just wake up early on 12/12 and get started doubling up everything.
That is exactly right. Yes, that's
and I feel like there's a lot of rituals that are like exhausting. You know what I mean? Like my mom makes hallacas, which are these tamales, and they take forever. And she has to like order these plantain leaves from this place, and she spends days making them. And this is worse. Like that ritual works, and for some reason this one is terrible.
Well, also at the end of yours, you get a tamale. At the end of
that is true. Yeah,
he's in bed with his wife with 2 wet shirts.
If I'm her, what I'm doing is a bunch of stuff you don't like twice.
Oh no!
Like I'm ordering your least favorite food, and now you got to eat 2 plates of it.
Yes.
Like I'm like everything you don't like, your least favorite show. We gotta watch 2 episodes. Like,
Rob, I know you're thinking that this is going to be bad, but it is just making me want to marry you. That is what I am hearing. All right. Well, listen, if everyone hates 1-2-1-2 Day so much, let's see if you can do better, because we are in the midst of holiday season. And listen, I am going to have all of you come up with a new tradition of your own, a new holiday. This is a game called Pitch That Rich. Pitch a Rich. Okay. So panelists, we asked you each before the show to invent and draw a ritual or holiday tradition that you would like to see exist, but that does not currently exist. So we're going to now have you pitch those rituals to Cristine. And then Cristine is going to judge which ritual she thinks is most likely to persist throughout the generations. Unlike 1-2-1-2 Day, which I have now been told officially from a cognitive scientist sucks. So thumbs down, official. Okay, let's get started with Rob. Rob, why don't you pitch us your rich?
So, okay, my rich is I might have to take the blur off. Hold up.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, no, that ain't it. All right.
Very anti-climate.
Holy shit! Oh,
how do you?
That was incredible!
Whoa! I've never seen that in my life.
Never. He did a full Tony Hawk skateboard trick while on Zoom.
Wait,
look at the arrow next to the camera and click on it, and then you have blur my background.
There we go.
Wow, boom. Joanna, okay. That's incredible.
Okay, so this is cart luck. This is like a potluck dinner, but everybody makes like an online purchase together. So everybody puts their money together, they go online together, and then they buy something together. And then when it comes, it belongs to everybody. So they all gotta agree on it. They all gotta like figure out what it is they want. I got different types of currency on here. I try to make a euro sign without looking it up, so that weird looking too is, of course, the Bitcoin. So this person's money is values going down as we speak. But so that, and then this is, of course, is how the internet works.
Yep.
So that's a little satellite right there.
That's really good. That's good artwork.
That's a great rich, and I love the name. Cart luck.
Cart luck, yeah.
Cristine, I know you're going to give your full judgment at the end, but just some initial reactions to cart luck.
Lot to love about that, definitely. So there's the communal aspect, there's cooperation, there's synchrony, there's a collective goal. Liking it.
Okay. Wow. I noticed that she did not initially say that sucks. So that is that is a strong plus for you. Okay, Joanna Hausman, what's the ritual you would like to pitch?
My ritual is called Bye Bye Bye. So
she had colors.
Wow.
Yeah, I had colors. So my ritual is done like at the start of a new year, and basically people make a list of everything they freaking hated about that year while the 2000 hit song by NSYNC Bye 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 plays. And then everyone throws that piece of paper into a fire communally as they sing and like party. They're like, they just throw it in the fire. And that's my ritual.
I love that.
We would play like bye bye the whole time.
Yes. Yes.
And we would be playing that song right now, but unfortunately the licensing fees would bankrupt the National Academy of Sciences. There would be no more studies for the future.
Do you just sing the chorus, or do you have to know the lyrics to the verses of Bye 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 to participate in this ritual?
Okay. So Cristine, this is important for your judgment. You don't have to sing along if you don't want to, but the Bye 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 is sort of part of it, the chorus. If you know all the lyrics, that's like extra, but it's not necessary.
I think when you put the fire out, you should hum it like in spiritual, like a real. I don't know what you call it, but when you like everybody humming Bye 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 together,
chants.
like the chanting, like the bridge.
Yeah. Very
That's
like
beautiful.
a Gregorian chant situation where it's like, you might have been hurt, babe.
You love it time, Yeah, that's so good.
That's great.
I do not apologize for knowing the lyrics.
No, nor you should you. Cristine, what's some initial reactions to Bye Bye Bye?
So a lot of things to love about this as well. The communal song has lots of different critical functions. It also is a way to gauge how committed and knowledgeable your group members are. Because if they really know the lyrics, then they're hardcore. You can trust these people. They're good people and they're committed to this. If they're just, sort of humming along and they clearly don't know all the words, this is probably a sign that they're not fully committed and you need some additional education about the ritual. So the extent to which people really know the details of a ritual is a sign of how dedicated of a group member they are to you. So I like the song as a way to, again, not that those lyrics are that hard to learn. So if you don't learn them, you're clearly not that committed. So I like that as a kind of a gauge of how serious you are.
I did it on purpose, not because I love the song. I did it as a function for that, for that purpose.
Absolutely.
For sure.
That's clear.
And Michael, certainly last, but certainly not least.
Certainly
last. Certainly last.
Also, actually, very least.
Very least. What do you have?
Mine is. Can you see my thing? It's a cake that says "That Sucks" on it.
Beautiful.
And this is my ritual is called That Sucks Day. And it's like a day, you have like funerals, right? Everyone's like, that's like things don't suck more than that usually. But this is like just for other stuff. So like if you get fired from your job or you get a divorce, it's like maybe, first of all, maybe those things are great. Maybe you love those things. But if you didn't love them, it's like a mid-level. You had a terrible day. We're all going to get together at Doug's house because something that sucks happened to him. We're going to get a That Sucks cake and we're going to hang out, and we're not going to be like too happy. We're going to meet Doug at his level. We're not trying to make Doug feel like the happiest guy in the world. We're doing it. That sucks. And we're all acknowledging it as opposed to pretending it didn't happen, avoiding Doug.
I love that.
I love it.
Cristine, initial reactions? Oh no, Rob, you can ask a question, please.
I just wanted to know what flavor cake is going to put you in the right mood for That Sucks Day.
That's a really good question. I think it might be nice to have a cake that also kind of sucks, just to like really nail the
Yeah.
day. So I would
Carrot.
go.
Carrot.
Oh, carrot would be really good. But I was also thinking ice cream cake, but that you took out too early. You gotta
wet
take
ice
it.
cream.
You gotta take it out
Mhm.
early, so it's very hard to handle.
Also, mint chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and
Right.
really cheap mint chocolate chip. Really
Yeah.
cheap.
Yes,
You're like,
tastes like
does this have dairy
You're
in
talking
it? I
about
don't know.
plastic tub.
yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
I
With a
want my
handle,
cake to
a
taste
bucket.
like to
That's
taste
right.
like a chemical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is this
yeah.
toothpaste? Is this toothpaste? I don't know.
I mean, we also have, if we want to go down the Joanna route of having a song, it's a clear So You Had a Bad Day is the song for this one too.
Yeah,
Which,
that's great.
And, I'll say just a quick aside about that. One time, I've never been more furious in my life. And now in retrospect, it is hilarious. But my roommate at the time, I was really upset. And my roommate, Kristen, I had a bad day. And she followed me around with her laptop playing that song on repeat as I tried to escape her. Just So You Had a Bad Day. And I was absolutely furious. And now it is hilarious as a memory to think about her chasing me around the house playing that song.
I also just want to say one other thing about That Sucks Day. That Sucks Day is a day that's actually kind of cool, as opposed to 1212 Day, which is a day that sucks.
God, ironically, you're sending me to celebrate That Sucks Day. That's what now, as a result, I'm going to have to celebrate the death of my day on That Sucks Day. Okay, Cristine, talk to us about That Sucks Day.
Well, I like that. I like it because it seems like more and more as a culture, we sort of fetishize happiness. And social media is like an extreme version of this, where everyone's posting their, apex moments and everything's great and there's achievements. And it's just this constant show that gives everybody the impression that somehow everyone is doing so much better than they are. And that's really their life is a pale, crappy shadow of everyone else's. So it's this kind of arms race to out happy each other. And I think this is really alienating. And having a collective space to point out that, life it does have high, apex moments, but it's also difficult and there's challenges and sometimes it sucks and there's loss and disappointment. And I love the idea of having a space to celebrate that in a way that is shared. Because if all you see increasingly is just everything going well, it could give one the impression that you're kind of alone in your crappy outcome day and life. So I like that. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you so much.
And Michael, do you have a date in mind for That Sucks Day, or even a season?
Oh no, I think it's movable. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like we can do it anytime. We're sort of waiting for the occasion, which I will admit could be a drawback. Sometimes you like to have February 17th, that's always That Sucks Day. But
there should be it could be a recurring date. I would recommend that.
Okay, appreciate
I
it.
hear there's an
tip.
opening on December 12th.
Don't take that. Don't take 1-2 day away from me, please. Take February 2nd. Take Tuesday. No one wants that crap. Okay, now, Cristine, this is hard because all three of our panelists have put together some incredible pitches, really strong logic behind all of them, beautiful drawings. One is extremely blurry, but even without that, Cristine, what would you say is the ritual most likely to persist throughout human history, to persist through all the generations?
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, bye, bye. Wow.
Yep. Serves important functions. It's this kind of transition, rite of passage with the out with the old, in with the new. There's a kind of cleansing aspect to it. I mean, and there's a sweet song.
All right.
Such a sweet song. Bye, bye, bye.
I will say that I went to a New Year's Eve party one year where they had something similar to this, not as good, but something similar, where they had a bucket that they called the fuck it bucket. And it was a flame, and you would take something that you hated and you would throw it in the bucket. If that had bye, bye, bye attached to it, I would do it every day.
Now, I have been to a very different party with a similarly named bucket.
Come on, Chris. Come on.
Let's move on. Cristine, one of the rituals that you've looked at a lot is the use of simpatias in Brazil. We're just going to
Yeah.
transition so hard right into this. Can you
Fuck it,
explain
fuck
to us-
it. To yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is something you've done a lot of your academic research on. What can you explain to us what a simpachia is?
Sympachias are ritualistic remedies. So they're little scripts that you can perform, engage in to treat all manner of different problems. Everything from asthma to unemployment, illness and bad luck and everything in between. There's a lot of them that are oriented towards procuring romantic partners or maintaining those romantic partners, sustaining them, holding on to them, that sort of thing. And there are versions of sympachias in all over the world. Actually, we did a little bit of research on ancient Egypt that had very, very similar ritualistic remedies to modern day Brazilian sympachias. I mean, some of the content's a little different. Obviously, it's a different time and a different place, a different culture, but the structure is very, very, very similar.
Okay, so these ones are specific to the ones that you've studied in Brazil, and yet every culture all over the world has some version of something kind of like this. So, okay, and panelists, this is actually the first time we've ever done this on the show. We've never done this exact thing, which is we're going to be asking you real questions that Cristine asks her real students in her classes. These are straight up from a homework assignment and from a test.
Oh,
and
shit.
You're gonna have to answer.
I'm going to get a
Anxiety.
master's degree.
Yeah.
That's right. This is a little treatment. Okay, so these are little treatments for some sort of problem. Here's what's going to happen. This is exactly straight off the assignment that Cristine gives her students. I'm going to give you a sympachia, and then you have to guess what problem it is intended to treat. Now, that could be anything from asthma to infidelity to, having a loneliness, anything, any sort of things like that, right? So any problem that a human could have. Okay, we're going to start with Michael. Michael, I'm going to read you the sympachia, and then you're going to tell us what problem you think it's solving.
Okay.
In the first day of the last quarter phase of the moon, take the milk from a coconut and give it to the person to drink. After that, ask the person to spit 3 times into the hole made in the coconut. Following this, light a brand new white candle and drip the wax around the hole until the hole is sealed. Then take the coconut to a faraway beach or river. What problem do you think that is meant to solve?
Yo, that is so many steps. Fuck. Literally, what I was going to do at the end of it, I was like, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to regurgitate this for myself so that I'm able to, but literally once I was like spitting the fucking milk back in the coconut, I was like, okay, I don't remember what, okay. So if it occurs at a specific time, it can't be something, I'm going to go with, to help someone become more fertile. You want to have more of the babies.
Seal up the coconut, take it to a faraway river, and then you're going to get a baby. Cristine, what do you think? Is that right?
It's kind of close, actually.
Really?
Oh,
It's a little bit close. It's to basically prevent your partner from cheating on you.
I'm going to say
infidelity.
that's the same.
To me, those do not feel as close as you implied that they were going to be. But
Fuck off, Chris. Those are the same.
I guess in some ways it is sexual, and that is a connection.
There we go.
Okay. Joanna, your turn. Let's see if you can get as close as Michael or perhaps even closer.
Close.
Not possible.
Joanna, collect 7 red apples directly from an apple tree. In the morning, before eating anything, peel the apples, eat them, and save the peel. Right before going to bed, make a tea with the peel. What problem is that meant to solve?
Okay. So my logic is you're removing something from something, and then they spend time apart, and then at the end of the day they come together in a way. So is this like rekindling a flame, maybe, or having someone that you're in love with or we're in love with come back to you?
Now, I will say, and I don't actually know the answer. So before Cristine says, I will also just note that this involves a person eating 7 apples all at once in a day, which to me is
think about it. A
lot of
heartbroken
apples.
person will do anything.
I guess so. To me, it almost seems like the problem this could be solving is I have too many apples and I need to get rid of these apples. But Cristine, what is this actually trying to solve?
It's meant to bring basically to cure bad luck.
Okay.
So to
would you say
bring
that
better
is...
luck, better fortune into your life.
But wouldn't
basically.
you? I mean, wait, apples? Has anyone read the Bible? I mean, that's. Do you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like that threw me through a loop here. Apples are like bad luck-ish.
Well, they also keep the
That's
doctor away.
That's because they ate one apple. If in the book of Genesis
apparently
they ate 7 apples, they'd be way smarter, and then we'd be way smarter.
That's exactly what would have happened.
Mhm.
You took one bite from the apple of knowledge. What you needed to do was eat seven full apple knowledges.
7 full
without the
apple
peel,
knowledges.
and then they would have gone to like a better
Yeah.
paradise or whatever. Damn.
We wouldn't
Okay.
need shrooms if they took 7 apples.
Yeah, that's like the Adam and Eve in the meme of Galaxy Brain. Like, I ate 7 of the apples. Incredible. Okay. And now, Cristine, just to confirm, you would say that what Joanna said is not at all close to bad luck.
Fuck off, Chris. My thing was correct. Hers was wrong.
Okay.
How
just
dare.
confirming. And Rob, last but not
Mhm,
least, this one's
mhm.
for you. Certainly last, but certainly not least. Rob, wear a white t-shirt for 5 days in a row. After that,
Did that.
wash the t-shirt using salted water. Put the t-shirt to dry in the shade, and after it is dried, fold the t-shirt and bring it to a church. What is that meant to solve?
Holy, the church. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so you wearing the white tee 5 days straight, so it's not white anymore. You washing it with the salt, okay, and then you bringing it to the church. You trying to make choir robes. Clearly, they don't have enough choir robes at the church, and so you stretching that tee all the way out. You cleaning it, and then the drying it in the shade is really because that's going to take a long time to dry. So maybe you get started on Sunday. By the time it dries, it's the next Sunday. You come with the shirt. They like, thank you. It's a full robe by then.
Cristine, what do you think?
What problem is that?
I mean, almost undeniably, Rob has identified a problem that this would solve. So
This church
the question
doesn't
is-
have uniform. Like they got people who could sing, but they come in, they dressing all out of sync. You know what I'm saying?
I think you've identified an additional problem that you've kind of come up with a new application. This is true innovation right here. That's what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the intended focus was to cure heartbreak, to alleviate sadness, basically.
The inclusion of a t-shirt makes me think that it's a relatively modern simpatia, whereas I sort of assume that these things come from I assume that every version of one of these things comes from the same old woman at the beginning of time.
Yeah. Like the apple and the apple peels, that feels like that could be any time period. But this white t-shirt every day for 5 days seems very Grease, West Side Story.
Yes,
true.
Like James Dean era, like they was gonna wear a white tee anyway, but now they got their heart broken.
But
you know what? They've got to be items that people have. Like these are things people do. So there's got to be things that are accessible to them, because if they're, random things they can't get a hold of, you can't perform the simpatia.
I think this one's interesting to me because it inherently has a lot of time involved. And it's like you would be like, actually, I kind of feel better, but it's because time has passed, not because you did all that stuff.
And you've done something. I mean, that's a big part of why rituals are are therapeutic. It's a socially sanctioned, basically, script to treat a problem in some way. And people don't assume these are guaranteed to work. All of these are totally opaque mechanistically. You all tried valiantly to try to find some meaning or metaphor or something in here that would give you a clue. But most of them you can't tell from the actions themselves. What's really powerful here is the repetitions, the procedural specificity, information about time, information about place. It gives you something to do. It gives you a sense of agency over your own life. And that humans need that. We need that. We definitely need that. Even if there's no guarantee these are going to fix everything, having something that other people at least endorse might work makes you feel better.
Yeah.
That thing that Joanna said, I don't know if you were joking or not, but like that it like gives you it gives you something to do. Like you've got this heartbreak. I'm going to give you something that's going to occupy you for all these days.
Exactly.
I think that's probably real, right? That like it puts you in motion, because with things like make you super sad, instead you're just literally sitting in a room by yourself and don't want to see anyone. If someone's like, no, you got to do this. There's actually this t-shirt shit that you have to do.
Yeah. You got it. It's a list. It's a to-do list. You got to get it done.
My mom wants me to go to church so bad. She would definitely tell me to do this just to get me to like, well, did you turn in your shirt? You got to go turn in your shirt. You want your heart to be healed.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show, and thank you so much for being here, Cristine. It's been so fascinating to talk to you. Really,
what a delight.
It's been incredible. Let's check in on the score. It looks like for the first time in my memory, we actually have a 3-way tie. So that means that everyone is a winner and everyone is a loser. Congratulations, and I'm so sorry. Before we go, Cristine, we have an audience of people out there who are listening. They're paying attention to you. It's the holiday season right now. What do you want everyone out there to keep in mind about holidays and rituals and traditions as we are in the midst of them right now?
I suppose that rituals, including holiday rituals, are meant to bring people together. They're meant to give us a shared sense of meaning and purpose and family and community. So making sure that that function doesn't get lost in the minutia of all the busyness and all of the activities and all the requirements, that really these practices are meant to give you an opportunity to be together, to be with people that you care about. And that's what they're for, and that's what we need them for. So slowing down a little bit and investing in shared collective familial practices is psychologically beneficial and just a good way to spend the holiday season.
I love that. So panelists, that's what Cristine hopes that you take away from today's show. Now, what will you actually be taking away? Michael, what will you be taking away from today's show?
Oh God, fuck! Why is this happening to me? I guess, man. I mean, a lot of things, and one of them would be, well, like the intricacy of these simpatias is something that is fascinating to me, and like how many steps there are to them. Like what Joanna brought up, that idea of like it's going to keep you busy, and the occupying of your mind is in and of itself a benefit of some of these rituals.
Great. Joanna Hausman, what are you going to take away from tonight's show?
I guess that rituals are something that are put in place to make us feel better and to make us feel united and connected with one another. And this show has sort of been like a ritual for me. I've been on the show a few times, and it makes me feel good, and it's a shared experience. I want more rituals in my life. I'm not a religious person, but I feel like I would benefit from incorporating more rituals in my life.
And Rob Hayes, what will you be taking away from tonight's show?
Well, before tonight, I thought a simpatia was like shaped like a dog, or like, a famous person. You water it and then, leaves grow out or whatnot. But now I know the difference. I will say the one thing I will take away is that the housing market for fairies is booming right now. And
Yes.
I want to invest. I want to start making some fairy houses and being a landlord to the fairies.
And that is a dream that I believe you can achieve. I believe we can all achieve that. Thank you all so much for playing. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you so much to Cristine Legare, our incredible expert. That is it for tonight. We are going to be back next month with another free streaming show for you in January. You can register for that right now at labx.org/WAO. In the meantime, though, thank you so much to everyone who was on tonight's show. Thank you to everyone at the National Academy of Sciences and LabX and our back-end folks, Amechi, Jesse, Amir, Dempsey, and Mario. I am your host, Chris Duffy, and this has been Wrong Answers Only. Find out more about this show and future episodes online at this address right over there. Okay, bye. Have a great night.